love this job so much. I love the people, I love the crew, I love the boat, I love the school. I had my own boat motor when I was 6, and I've been in boats ever since. I can't tell you how much I enjoy this. My name is Bill Hansen, and I'm the lead captain on the schooner Hjørdis, which is this lovely vessel behind me here. It's owned by and a program of North House Folk School. I've been lucky to be involved with the boat since the school purchased it in 1997, I believe. I actually was on the board when we bought it. I remember so well, it was Mark Hansen's idea, who also is one of the people that had the original idea for the folk school. And he came into the board meeting very enthusiastic, as Mark is, and said, "We should buy that boat and make it a floating classroom and run 2-hour charters." And immediately I thought, good idea. The school buys a boat and I can sail it. The board was not so positive, so Mark came back with a real proposal. In those days, of course, North House just starting out. Tiny budget, and when they saw how much the boat could earn doing these 2-hour charters, sentiment turned in favor of it, and bought it. I see it as a very authentic experience. My saying for the boat is real boat, real lake. And I think sometimes people before they come on, and some local people, think it's kind of a fakey tourist thing. But I guarantee you come on this boat, you'll see it's a real boat, a real sailboat, and Lake Superior certainly is a real lake. It ties into the history of Lake Superior. This is a gaff-rigged schooner, and gaff-rigged schooners were dominant on Lake Superior for about 50 years, from 1850 to 1900, more or less, with over 600 of them sailing, and a bunch that were located here in the harbor. So it turned out to be a kind of boat that was uniquely suited to Lake Superior. The reason they went away in 1900 was the advent of the steel boats and steam engines. Just turn it on. Push this down, come back. And we're going. I just finished our second season on an electric motor, and which I like to think was my idea. I actually was inspired by my electric bike. I was coming in one day with the diesel running, so it was loud, vibrated, smelled bad, and I was thinking, this thing. And then I thought, wait, this is really a lot like my electric bike. Goes out and does errands during the day, and then at night it's plugged in. And I thought this would be the ideal application for an electric motor. So I did some research and was convinced. We got it from a firm in Minnesota, Electric Yacht. They allowed us to do the installation ourselves. More powerful than the diesel, so safer for us, instant response. So yeah, it's been a sea change, if you'll forgive the pun, especially on windless days. It really shines, because if there's no wind at all, we can run the motor. It's essentially silent. The sails are up, the sails fill. You actually are sailing. You get some power from the sails, and we can give them a really good experience with, even if there's no wind. Sometimes Lake Superior wind comes out of nowhere, and we try to be alert to it. You can actually, if you've been on the lake a lot, you can see wind coming on the surface, but sometimes you don't see it until it's pretty close. And definitely had cases where the wind struck the boat in a way that wasn't ideal, and trying to get the motor started to deal with it, and a little scary for the crew and for the passengers. So it's rare, but it does happen. But the electric motor, when you need power, it's there. You can have it at full power in under 4 seconds, whereas the diesel was probably closer to a minute. Yeah, much, much better for safety, and it has plenty of power to overcome anything, so far anyway, knock on wood, that the lake has thrown at us. Sunrise sail in June leaves the dock at 4:30 a.m. which means I set my alarm for 3:45, which really feels like the middle of the night. Even my dog would look at me like, "What are you doing?" And she'd lay back down, go to sleep. But I'll tell you, once we get out there, it's sublime. I had one sunrise sail this year where the passengers never spoke after we left the harbor. It was absolutely silent for the entire sail until we got back to the dock, and it was just so beautiful. We did have a it wasn't fun, but a very interesting incident this year when we were out on a sunrise sail in June, and the radio lit up, which is rare. We're always monitoring the emergency channel, but all of a sudden someone was talking, and I leaned over to listen, and it said, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday, requesting U.S. Coast Guard assistance, we are sinking." And it was the ore freighter Michipicote, and the Coast Guard answered Michipicote, and it turned out they were only about 25 miles from us, up south of Isle Royale. We were dumbstruck. And then the Coast Guard asked them, "What's your plan, Captain?" And the captain said, "I'm making for Thunder Bay, but I'm not going to make it." Just in as stark a terms as possible, they were sinking. And they already had all their pumps running. A helicopter was there from the UP of Michigan in under 20 minutes, brought them a pump, and then they sent out the rescue boat from Isle Royale, the Park Service rescue boat. They brought a pump, and they took half the crew off. And with those 2 additional pumps, they were able to keep ahead of it and made it into Thunder Bay. It's only fun because it worked out in the end. But for a minute there, it was very scary. I thought we were in for a repeat of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
A freighter carrying a crew of 29 disappeared on Lake Superior during a severe storm last night, and so far, no survivors have been found.
I covered the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald as a journalist. 1975, I was working for Channel 6 in Duluth. Flew over the site at dawn, and it's a long story, but we covered that, and then my film was used on the NBC Nightly News as the lead story. And that was the days of film. So I had to process it in a film processing machine, a great big one. And that machine occasionally would destroy film. And I was like, please don't destroy this film. But it came out fine, and they used it. And it was again, exciting for a reporter, but a very, very sad story to cover. I mean, that's the thing that stays with me over the years, is just the grief of the families and the company and the Coast Guard. Everybody was just devastated by that terrible tragedy. So that's the thing that stays with me. But for us, of course, it was the story of a lifetime.